The hangar went quiet the second the Admiral walked in. Boots stopped. Conversations cut. Even the echo of tools on metal died. Officers straightened along the main aisle of the naval vehicle bay, forming a clean line for the inspection party. At the far end, near the open garage door, a man in a black work shirt kept mopping up an oil spill like none of it had anything to do with him. That man was Hunter Cole. He had gray at his temples, a beard trimmed close, forearms strong from years detorquing bolts that rookie mechanics over-tightened. His work shirt said, "Maintenance." His jeans were clean but faded. His leather gloves lay on the floor near a tool cart. Outside, parked where nobody of rank would notice, sat a black Harley with sun-faded saddlebags. An officer nudged the guy beside him and whispered, annoyed, "Tell maintenance to clear the floor." Before anyone could reach him, the visiting Admiral saw Hunter. The Admiral was the kind of man who liked to be the loudest in the room. White cap, perfect uniform, row of ribbons. He walked with 4 staffers and 2 security men. He liked to point at things. He liked to make men nervous. His name was on the schedule in big letters, Admiral Travis Beckett. He saw the man in the work shirt, still mopping, not saluting, not snapping to attention. Beckett smiled like someone who had just found a toy. He stopped right in front of Hunter and looked him up and down. "You work here, biker?" His tone was joking, but it was the kind of joke that tests how far he can go. Hunter wrung the mop out in the yellow bucket, calm, eyes down. "Yes, sir. Vehicle maintenance." "You ride that thing out there?" Beckett jerked his chin toward the Harley. "Yes, sir." 1 or 2 junior officers snickered softly. A biker janitor on a Navy yard. "It was funny if you didn't know anything." Beckett chuckled. "I like a good bike. Tell me something." His voice lifted so everyone nearby could hear. "What's your rank, soldier?" It was meant to be a dig, the kind older officers made at retired enlisted guys who came back as civilians. A way to remind them who wore the stars now. Hunter finally looked up. His eyes were steady. Not angry, not offended, just steady. He didn't straighten completely, but his shoulders were not the shoulders of a man who'd spent his life only pushing a mop. "Major General, sir," he said in a level voice. "Hunter James Cole." Every sound in the hangar vanished. Nobody laughed. The young officers glanced at each other, confused. One of the older chiefs blinked twice like he'd misheard. A logistics lieutenant at the back, Maya Reynolds, felt her stomach drop. She had seen that name somewhere. But it was the Admiral's face that told the truth. For a split second, Travis Beckett forgot to smile. He knew that name. He knew it because his entire rise in the Navy, his medals, his speeches, all traced back to a single operation in the desert 15 years earlier. An operation whose ground commander had been listed as KIA, an operation codenamed Iron Ridge. The man listed as dead just told him his rank. Beckett recovered in half a heartbeat. He let out a loud laugh like it was the best joke he'd heard all week. "Well, we've got some characters in maintenance, don't we?" he said, turning to his officers. "Carry on." But the laugh didn't reach his eyes, and Hunter Cole went back to cleaning the oil. That was how the day Admiral Beckett came to the Norfolk Naval Vehicle Facility stopped being a normal inspection day. 8 hours earlier, before the Admiral and the flags and the nervous officers, the bay had been quiet. The sun wasn't even fully up when Hunter rolled through the side gate on the Harley. The guard knew him, just lifted a hand and waved him through. Few people arrived that early except supply and maintenance. Hunter liked it that way. Fewer eyes, fewer questions. He parked in the far corner, in the gap between the fence and the old parts container. It wasn't against the rules to park a bike near the bay, but it drew attention. He had spent years learning how not to draw attention. Inside, the air smelled like oil, rubber, and naval paint. Hunter unlocked the maintenance cage, pulled on his black work shirt, and started his list. Floors first, then tool inventory, then the 2 Humvees that had been dragged in the night before. He moved like a man who'd done this 1,000 times, because he had. Not this job specifically, but work, order, routine. He liked things straight. He liked wrenches in size order. He liked the floor dry so nobody slipped. He liked to know where every exit was. At 6:10, the bay door rattled and a small group of enlisted men came in talking loud, tracking footprints across the section he had just mopped. "Morning," Hunter said, not expecting an answer. He didn't get one. They walked straight through his clean section and started talking about the inspection. Everybody was wound up. Admiral Beckett wasn't the kind of man who overlooked dust. Hunter took the mop, passed it over their footprints, and kept going. At 6:23, he got a text. "Ely, coach moved practice to 4. I can take the bus." Hunter, "Bus is fine. Helmet if you ride." Ely, "I know." Hunter, "I love you." Ely, "Love you too." He stared at the screen a second longer than necessary. Eli Cole was 15, all legs and hunger for speed. Dirt bikes, go-karts, anything with an engine. Hunter let him ride, but only with helmet, only in clear areas, only after checking the brakes. Hunter was strict, not because he liked rules. Because he'd already lost one person, he wasn't losing another. He slid the phone back in his pocket and went back to work. By 7:09, the hangar was filling. Noise, tools, officers doing walkthroughs, and with them, Lieutenant Maya Reynolds. Maya was not maintenance. She was logistics and planning, which meant she was always moving around with a tablet, counting, checking, reporting. She was in her early 30s, sharp brown hair in a tight bun, and she noticed things people didn't think she noticed. She noticed, for example, that the civilian maintenance guy always kept his back to walls, not open space. She noticed that when he pushed his tool cart past the mission board the day before, he'd turned it so the handle pointed toward the western entry route on the map. 5 minutes later, the captain in charge asked, "What about using the western route? It keeps us out of the restricted airspace." Coincidence, maybe. But she also noticed his posture when he thought nobody was looking. Shoulders straight, not slouched like most civilians on base, feet set like someone who'd spent half his life standing at attention. So when she saw him that morning, mopping like always, she said, "Good morning, Mr. Cole." He glanced up. "Morning, ma'am." "Big day," she said. "Seems like." "Admiral Beckett himself," she added, watching his face. If the name bothered him, he didn't show it. "I'll make sure the floor shines." She narrowed her eyes just a little. "You always do." She moved on, but put a mental pin in it. Hunter didn't like inspection days. Inspection days brought high-ranking people. High-ranking people sometimes brought people from Washington. People from Washington sometimes asked questions about old units, old missions, old names. He had spent 15 years making sure nobody asked about his. He finished the floor and went to Bay 3, where an armored SUV sat half open. There was a problem with the steering. He slid under, checked the line, found a cracked bracket, pulled the part number. His hands were steady. His breathing was steady. But inside he was counting. 15 years since Iron Ridge. 15 years since the after-action reports were rewritten. 15 years since Catherine's car lost control on a straight road. 15 years of keeping Eli out of anyone's database that mattered. 15 years of pushing a mop inside the very institution that had let someone steal his operation and then erase him. He could have disappeared completely, left the country, joined a different life. He didn't. He stayed close to the Navy, close to the people who made Admiral Travis Beckett a hero, close enough to watch. He just had to look like a man who didn't matter. At 9:10, the facility intercom clicked. "Attention all personnel. Admiral Travis Beckett will be on deck at 1000 for facility inspection. All sections prepare." Groans everywhere. Men wiped their hands, tucked shirts, cleared benches. Hunter wiped his too, but not for the Admiral. For safety. Clutter got people hurt. He rolled the tool cart back to its spot, lined every wrench in order, and looked briefly through the office window out to the parking area. 2 black SUVs and a dark sedan were already at the gate. They were early. He looked at the wall clock. 9:14. Beckett was nervous. Good, Hunter thought. Let him be. He went back to the oil spill near the main aisle, because he knew something most people didn't. High-ranking officers like to walk right down the middle without watching their feet. He'd just pushed the mop through the last streak when the side door opened and the first officer yelled, "Admiral on deck." The line formed. Hunter didn't move to the line. He was maintenance. Maintenance stayed out of the way. He lowered the mop, squeezed it out, and that was when Beckett saw him. The whole exchange took less than 15 seconds. Afterward, the Admiral walked on, chattering again, pretending nothing had happened. The officers relaxed. People started breathing. But the air had changed. Maya looked at Hunter with new eyes. The chief, who'd been in since Desert Storm, stared at him like he was seeing a ghost. And Hunter just finished the spot on the floor and wheeled his mop bucket away like he hadn't just told a 4-star equivalent that he outranked him on paper. He didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He didn't even look around to see who'd heard. He just knew one thing. He had been seen. And when men like Travis Beckett saw something they thought was buried, they didn't ignore it. They dug it up. They destroyed it. Or they tried. As Hunter rolled his bucket toward the back, his phone buzzed again. Ely. "Coach says we might go to Virginia Beach Friday. Can I go?" Hunter didn't answer right away, because from the corner of his eye he saw the Admiral lean toward his aide and say something in a low voice while pointing back in Hunter's direction. The aide nodded and tapped on a tablet. They were already pulling his file, but the file in the base system said he was just Cole, Hunter J. Civ Maintenance. Prior service, undisclosed. They were going to go deeper than the base system. They were going to hit the sealed records. And if they hit the sealed records, someone in D.C. was going to get an alert that a dead man was working in a naval facility, which meant everything he had kept quiet for Eli was about to get loud. Hunter typed back to his son anyway. "Hunter, we'll talk after school. Stay on campus. Don't leave with anyone I didn't send." Eli, "Okay." He put the phone away and looked up. At the far end of the hangar, Lieutenant Maya Reynolds was still watching him. And 2 floors above, in the admin wing, the facility commander was just being told that Admiral Beckett had arrived early and wanted full personnel review, including civilian maintenance. Hunter exhaled slowly. The mission he thought was over 15 years ago had just restarted. And this time, it wasn't just his life on the line. It was his son's. He went back to work like nothing had changed, but everything had. And in less than an hour, the entire base was going to learn that the quiet biker in maintenance was not someone you joked with about rank. The name, Iron Ridge, hadn't been spoken aloud on that base in more than 15 years. But in Admiral Beckett's mind, the echoes were deafening. 2 hours after the inspection, the Admiral was still in his temporary office, tie loosened, hands trembling slightly as he poured bourbon into a mug meant for coffee. His aide waited by the door, pretending not to notice. Beckett's jaw worked as he stared at the wall. "I want everything on that man," Beckett said finally. "Cole, Hunter James, cross-check Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, even Black Ops units. Everything." "Yes, sir," the aide replied. "And keep it quiet. If anyone asks, he's just a contractor I want verified." As the aide left, Beckett sank into the chair and whispered to no one. He was dead. Across the compound, in the dim light of the maintenance bay, Hunter Cole finished locking up his tool chest. The day was over, the inspection had ended, but he could feel the storm brewing. Years of training gave him that sense. Silence that wasn't peace, stillness that meant someone was watching. He closed the padlock, slipped the key in his pocket, and left through the back gate. The setting sun reflected off the rows of parked bikes. Mostly base kids, not real riders. His black Harley waited by the fence, the same one he'd rebuilt 3 times over the years. He swung his leg over, pulled his gloves on, and started the engine. That familiar growl filled his chest. For the first time all day, he could breathe. He didn't go straight home. Instead, he took the long road along the water, where the wind could erase the day. The bridge lights flickered in the distance. The rumble under him felt like an old friend, the only one who'd never asked questions. As he rode, the memories started coming back, one by one, no matter how hard he tried to bury them. 15 years earlier. The desert of Iron Ridge, They'd been pinned behind a ridge of rock for 36 hours. Heat like hellfire, sand in every wound. Communications jammed, air support late. 42 men alive, 74 total. The command in D.C. had already written them off. The official order: withdraw and leave the wounded. But Major Hunter Cole had refused. He had called the SAT line himself. "Tell Admiral Beckett if he wants my resignation, he can have it when I get my men home." Then he'd led them through a canyon under fire, used a decoy fuel truck to draw attention, and guided an evac convoy through the night. The rescue was a miracle. But the credit? The photos? The press conference? All Beckett. Hunter had been told the orders came, from higher up, that the major was being reassigned, records sealed for national security. Then the accident happened. Catherine Cole, his wife, intelligence analyst, and the one person who knew the truth, was found dead in her car off a 2-lane road near Quantico. Brake failure, they said. He remembered standing over the wreckage, seeing the scorch marks that didn't fit, the smell of fuel too strong for a crash that small. He'd known. And a week later, an unmarked envelope arrived at his door. No return address. Inside, one photo. Eli, age 2, playing in the backyard. And a note. "Stop asking questions." That was the day Hunter Cole disappeared. He took the name off his bank accounts, sold the house, took his son, and left. For a year he drifted, construction, truck repair, short contracts. Then one night in a roadside diner outside Tulsa, a line of motorcycles pulled in. Veterans, the road guardians. Their president, Reaper, had recognized him from a distance. "I know that face," he'd said. "Used to see it on briefing slides." Hunter didn't deny it. He just said, "You boys still help people?" Reaper grinned. "We help the ones nobody else does." That night, the club became his cover, and his family. They were good men, broken in different ways but loyal. They rode for charity, helped vets with PTSD, fixed ramps for wounded soldiers. But if someone crossed one of their own, they could turn from mechanics to warriors in seconds. For a while, Hunter felt peace. The open road. His son growing up around engines, not uniforms. He was still watching from afar, but he stayed off the radar. Until the Navy Yard job came up 8 years ago. A friend in logistics, a road guardian who owed him his life, had called. "They need a maintenance supervisor for the vehicle section. Background checks are light if you apply through contract work." Hunter had thought about it for a long night. Then he'd said yes. Working near the system that had betrayed him meant risk, but it also meant information. If the name Beckett ever popped up again, he'd know. Dalmias, Norfolk Naval Facility. Lieutenant Maya Reynolds sat at her desk in the admin wing staring at the database. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as she typed, "Iron Ridge, personnel log." Access denied. She frowned and switched terminals, entering through a different clearance. This time a single line appeared. Iron Ridge, classified level 7. Commanding officer, C.O. Cole, H.J., deceased. Public record, operation led by Commander Travis Beckett. She leaned back. H.J. Cole. The same initials printed on the maintenance roster. Cole Hunter J. Coincidence? She opened his HR file. Born 1971. Service, prior military. Details sealed. Dependents, 1. Son, Eli. Emergency contact, none. Something wasn't right. She looked at the clock. 7:42 p.m. Everyone else was gone. The fluorescent light hummed. The silence made her stomach twist. She closed the window fast and logged out. She'd just peeked into something she probably shouldn't have. Outside, Hunter parked the Harley in front of the small brick house he rented on the edge of town. Porch light flickering, old tools piled by the door. Eli's bike leaned against the steps. Inside, the smell of chili filled the air. Eli was at the table, laptop open, homework spread everywhere. He looked up as his father walked in. "You're late." "Long day," Hunter said, taking off his gloves. "How was practice?" "Coach says I might start next week." Eli grinned. "Also, the math teacher hates me. Then it's a normal week." Eli smirked. You eat? Later. Hunter poured coffee instead. He needed to think. Dad, Eli said, watching him. You okay? You look tight. Just work. Inspection. Some big shot again? Yeah, something like that. Eli went back to typing and Hunter stood by the window, staring out into the darkness. Across the street, a black SUV slowed for a moment, then rolled away. Too slow to be coincidence. He took a sip of coffee and reached for the curtain cord. From behind him, Eli said, You're doing it again. Doing what? That thing, watching every car. Hunter forced a smile. Old habits. You were in the army, right? Something like that. You ever gonna tell me the real story? Hunter looked at his son, the same gray-blue eyes Catherine had. He almost said yes, almost told him everything. But then he heard the echo of that 15-year-old voice on the phone, the one that said, If you love your kid, stop digging. He couldn't. Not yet. Maybe one day, he said quietly. At 10:30 p.m., his phone buzzed again. Unknown number, no name. He stared at the screen. Didn't answer. It buzzed again. Then stopped. He waited. 10 seconds. 15. Then he opened the message. Nice bike, General. His grip tightened around the phone. No signature, no hint. Just that sentence. He stepped outside. The street was empty now. The night air was thick and heavy. He walked over to the Harley, crouched down, and ran his hand along the frame. Something small and metallic stuck to the underside, right near the oil pan. A tracker. He pulled it off and crushed it under his boot. The next morning, the facility hummed with rumors. Someone had overheard the Admiral's joke in the hangar. Someone else said the biker had given a fake rank. Another swore they'd seen the Admiral's face turn white. The story spread like wildfire. Lieutenant Reynolds walked through the corridors hearing fragments of it. She didn't believe in coincidences anymore. She passed the security office just as two men in civilian suits walked out. Unmarked badges. DC accents. One of them held a folder with a name she recognized written in red ink. Cole. Hunter J. They were moving fast. Maya's heart picked up. She followed at a distance until they entered the command wing. Whatever was happening, it wasn't a background check. It was a hunt. That afternoon, while Beckett's convoy rolled out for an off-site meeting, Hunter was back in the bay fixing a generator. Sweat ran down his neck. The heat and noise masked his thoughts. He kept his head down, acted like a man doing his job. Then he heard it. 2 sharp clicks near the door. Boots. He didn't look up. He just listened. 2 men, steady pace, right uniforms but wrong rhythm. Security detail, not mechanics. They stopped behind him. Mr. Cole, one said. Yeah? The Admiral wants to verify your credentials. Can you come with us? Hunter straightened slowly, wiping his hands on a rag. Now? Now. His eyes flicked to the security camera at the corner of the bay. He gave the faintest nod, just enough for anyone reviewing the tape later to see he hadn't resisted. Sure, he said. Let me grab my ID. He walked to his toolbox, opened the top drawer, and lifted the tray. Beneath it lay a small dust-covered metal box, the kind bikers used to stash spare fuses. Inside, folded papers, coordinates, names, and one patch, faded but intact, a silver skull with wings. He closed the drawer and followed the men out. As they walked him toward the admin building, he saw Lieutenant Reynolds in the corridor. Their eyes met. She didn't speak, but the question in her face was clear. Who are you really? Hunter gave a small, almost invisible shake of the head. Not yet. She understood enough to keep quiet. That night, the road guardians met in a warehouse 50 miles away. Reaper, the club president, set down a phone on the table. The message on the screen was short, sent from a burner. They found me. The room went silent. Reaper looked around at the men. Ghost, Diesel, Axe, Tank. Old riders, all veterans. Boys, he said, we ride at dawn. And as the engines of the road guardians roared to life the next morning, Hunter Cole sat in a steel interrogation room inside the Norfolk base, waiting. The door opened. Admiral Travis Beckett stepped in, smile gone, eyes sharp. "Major General," he said quietly, "let's talk about ghosts." And that's when Hunter realized the operation he thought was buried wasn't just resurfacing. Someone had been digging it up all along. The interrogation room was too small for what Travis Beckett wanted to do. It had a metal table, 2 chairs, camera in the corner, no windows. It was the kind of room used for drunk contractors or gate violations, not for questioning a man whose rank, on paper, outranked everyone in the building except maybe the Secretary of Defense. Hunter sat with his hands on the table, fingers relaxed, posture neutral. He looked like a man waiting for a union rep, not a man who just told an admiral he was a major general. Beckett closed the door himself. No aide, no jag, no witness. That already told Hunter everything. This wasn't official. This was personal. "Major General." Beckett tasted the words. "Do you know what happens to people who impersonate officers, Mr. Cole?" Hunter looked up. "I'm not impersonating anyone." Beckett chuckled once, dry. "You were listed as KIA." "Lots of bad paperwork after Iron Ridge," Hunter said. "You remember?" The Admiral's jaw tightened. "You should not be here." "I've been here 8 years." "Not here," Beckett snapped, "alive." There it was. The real thing. Hunter watched him. "Then you should have finished the job." For a moment, the two men just stared at each other. 15 years of buried history sat between them. One had built a career on a story. The other had kept quiet to keep his son alive. Beckett leaned forward. "Listen to me, Cole. Whatever you think you're doing, stop. You've got a kid. You've got a low-profile life. You've been allowed to keep that. You don't want to reopen this." "You reopened it," Hunter said. "You walked into my bay and asked me my rank. I made a joke. You made a mistake." Beckett exhaled slowly, trying to regain the upper hand. "You were declared dead because that was the safest option for everyone involved." "For you," Hunter corrected. "For the Navy," Beckett shot back. "For the chain of command. For the people who needed Iron Ridge to look clean." Hunter didn't blink. "Iron Ridge was clean. We brought everybody out. That was not the version approved for the public." "I know," Hunter said. "I read the public version. You looked good in it." Beckett's eyes hardened. "Do you have any idea who's going to start sniffing around when a dead ground commander shows up on a base with a kid? Do you have any idea what that means for people above me?" "Yeah," Hunter said. "That's why I stayed invisible." "Well, you're not invisible anymore." "Didn't want to be," Hunter said. "You walked to me." Beckett stared at him like he wanted to hit him and couldn't. Instead, he straightened. "All right. Then we do it this way. We verify your identity. We reopen the old incident. We ask you why you falsified your death. We ask you where you've been. We ask you why you used military access to get employment back on a Navy yard. And we charge you." Hunter tilted his head. "You going to tell them why my wife died 3 days after she flagged your report?" That hit. Beckett's eyes flared. "That had nothing to do with me." "She told you she had the originals," Hunter said quietly. "She told you she wasn't going to let someone steal the op. And then her car went off the road. I know how timing works." "You don't want to go down that road," Beckett said. "Because if we go down that road, we drag everybody. You, your dead wife, your kid, your biker friends. We freeze everything you have." "You touched my kid?" Beckett hesitated for half a second. That was enough. Hunter shifted forward. "You don't ever use him." "You used him," Beckett shot back. "You stayed alive for him. You took that job for him. You parked that bike far away for him. You kept quiet for him. You made him the leverage without even knowing it." Hunter's jaw clenched. "Where is he?" "School," Beckett said. "For now." It was a threat and a warning at the same time. Beckett stepped back from the table. The smooth charm was back in his voice. "Here's what's going to happen, Mr. Cole. I'm going to have base security pull your full background. I'm going to have DC confirm your status. If I don't like what I hear, I will have you held here until federal investigators arrive. You won't be going home tonight. Your son will go with Child Protective Services until we sort out who you actually are." Hunter's eyes went cold. "You do that, and I talk. Right here. On camera. About Iron Ridge. About who really designed the exit route. About who had the SATCOM logs altered. About who diverted the funds." Beckett's mouth pinched. "Nobody believes a dead man." "They will when the original files show up," Hunter said. "You don't have the originals." Hunter didn't answer. That silence told Beckett enough. Hunter had something. Maybe not everything, but something. Enough to make questions reach people Beckett couldn't control. The Admiral turned toward the door. "You should have stayed dead." "You should have stayed honest," Hunter said. Beckett didn't look back. He left. The lock clicked. Hunter sat alone again. The camera's red light blinked in the corner. He knew Beckett wasn't the only one watching. There would be base command, maybe someone from the intel cell, maybe Maya if she was determined enough. He looked straight at the camera, not threatening, not begging, just letting whoever was up there see his face clearly, in uniform of a civilian worker. "I am alive, and I am not running." While Hunter was locked in the room, another move was being made. At 3:05 p.m., Eli Cole walked out of his high school, backpack over one shoulder. Football practice had been canceled for rain. He texted his dad. "Eli, practice off. Home?" No answer. He frowned. His dad always answered. A black pickup waited at the curb. A man in a base contractor jacket leaned out. "Eli Cole?" "Yeah?" "Your dad asked me to grab you. He's stuck at the base." This was not weird on its face. Eli's dad worked at the base. Sometimes rides were arranged. The man had the right kind of jacket, the right kind of truck, the right calm voice. But Eli had been raised by a cautious man. "What's the phrase?" Eli asked. The man blinked. "What?" "My dad said if anyone else ever came for me, they'd know the phrase." The man forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Kid, I don't have time for—" Eli stepped back. "Then I'm good. I can take the bus." The man sighed, like he was dealing with a stubborn kid. "Look, your dad's with base security. He asked us to bring you in." He opened the passenger door. Eli's phone buzzed then. New message. Unknown number. "Your father is safe. Come with the driver." Eli stared at it. The number wasn't his father's. It wasn't even in the same area code. He looked at the man. "Show me you're on base," Eli said. "ID." The man's eyes narrowed a fraction. He almost reached for his wallet. Then another truck turned the corner. Not a pickup. A motorcycle hauler. Behind it, 3 bikes, matte black, loud, coming slow. The first one pulled right in front of the pickup, blocking it. The rider wore a cut with a patch on the back. Road Guardians. Eli exhaled. He knew that patch. His dad had photos with that patch. The rider kicked his stand down and took off his helmet. Bald, heavy gray beard. Reaper. He looked at the pickup driver. "You lost, friend?" The driver's smile vanished. "This is base business." "No," Reaper said. "This is family business." The 2 other riders flanked the truck. People at the school started filming. The driver clenched the wheel. Wrong day to grab the son of a man with a biker club on speed dial. Reaper turned to Eli. "Your old man got held up. We'll take you." Eli grabbed his bag and went to the bike without hesitating. "Helmet," Reaper said, tossing him one. "He'd yell at me if I didn't." As they pulled away, Reaper thumbed his mic. "Got the kid," he said. It started. Back on base, Beckett was on the phone, pacing. "No, I don't care what his contractor file says, I am telling you. He identified himself as Major General Hunter James Cole. Cross it with Iron Ridge. Yes, that Iron Ridge." He stopped when the door opened. Lieutenant Maya Reynolds stepped in, stiff. Sir, you wanted personnel status on the civilian? I didn't want you, Beckett snapped. I wanted security. They're tied up at the gate, she said evenly. I have your preliminary report. She laid the tablet down. Beckett snatched it. He scrolled. Hunter's civilian file. 8 years on base. Perfect record. No incidents. Prior service sealed by higher authority. He tried to open it. Access restricted. He looked up sharply. Who sealed his file? Sir, it's not local, Maya said. It's Washington. Who in Washington? It doesn't say, sir. It just flags that the service member is under protection. Protection? Beckett said. He's supposed to be dead. Maya looked at him carefully. With respect, sir, if Washington sealed his file, maybe he's not the one who's supposed to stay dead. The Admiral stared at her like she'd just crossed a line. Lieutenant, you will stay in your lane. Yes, sir. She turned to go, but he stopped her. Lieutenant. She looked back. Who else knows? He asked quietly. About his old rank? I don't know, sir, she lied, but the hangar was full. Beckett swore under his breath. This was how legends started. Someone says the janitor outranked the Admiral, then it hit social media, then some retired Master Chief recognizes the name, and suddenly reporters are asking why a dead hero is mopping floors. He needed to control it. Lieutenant, issue a base-wide comms note. No one is to discuss civilian contractor Hunter Cole with outside personnel. Security matter. Yes, sir. And get me the boy, Beckett added. If he has a kid on base, I want him in here. He doesn't bring his son to base, she said. He's in school. Then bring him from school. Maya hesitated. Sir, we don't have grounds to detain a civilian minor. Beckett's eyes iced over. Are you refusing an order, Lieutenant? No, sir, she said quickly. I just don't want to give Jag more work. Then get it done, Beckett said. I want every piece on the table. If Cole thinks he can threaten the Navy with some old desert story, he's wrong. Maya left, pulse racing. She wasn't going to help him grab a kid. She wasn't going to watch another family get hit because someone higher up was protecting a lie. She needed to get a message out. She headed straight for the comms room. In the interrogation room, Hunter's door opened again. This time it was not the Admiral. It was Captain Harris, the base CO, older, calmer, not part of Beckett's entourage. He closed the door and sat. Mr. Cole, he said, you've put me in a difficult position. I didn't do anything, Hunter said. I mopped a floor. You declared yourself a major general in front of a 4-star admiral. He asked. Did you serve as a general, Mr. Cole? Yes. Were you killed in action 15 years ago? No. Is your record sealed by higher authority? Yes. Captain Harris let out a breath. Then Admiral Beckett has a problem. I know. And now I do too. I know, Hunter said again. Harris studied him. Why come back? Why work here? You know what this place is. It's close to my son's school, Hunter said. And I wanted to know if he ever came back. He? Harris asked. Beckett. Harris nodded slowly. He'd suspected as much. He's pushing to detain you. I figured. Washington may have other ideas, Harris said. I've already gotten 2 calls. From who? People above both of us, Harris said, which tells me your file isn't just sealed, it's protected. Hunter didn't answer. Look, Harris said, lowering his voice. I don't know what happened over there. I don't know why the public version says Beckett commanded Iron Ridge when your name is on the classified line. What I do know is this. I will not have a civilian contractor's kid pulled off the street because 2 old officers are fighting over a report. Hunter's eyes sharpened. He tried? He asked, Harris said. Which means he may try another way. Hunter's hand curled into a fist on the table. Harris held up a palm. As of now, you are not under arrest. You are not to leave base until we get clarity, but you can move freely on base. I need to call my son. You can, Harris said. And Mr. Cole? Yeah? If you have something that proves your version, don't show it to Beckett. To who then? Harris stood. To the people who just called me. He left. Hunter pulled his phone out the second the door closed. No missed calls. One new text. From an unknown number. Kid safe. With us. Hunter closed his eyes for half a second. The club had him. Good. Now he could deal with Beckett. He stood, walked out into the hallway, and every head turned. The rumor had spread. The biker from maintenance, the one the Admiral snapped at, the one who said he was a general. He didn't look left or right. He headed straight for the bay. Because if Beckett was willing to reach for his son, then this wasn't just about an old report. It meant Beckett was scared. And scared men made mistakes. The kind of mistakes that could finally blow Iron Ridge wide open. The only question now was how far up it went, and how many people would try to shut him up before the truth got out. The first thing Hunter did when he got back to the bay was call. Not the base, not his son, the club. He stepped into the parts room, shut the door, and dialed a number he hadn't used in a year. It rang once. Yeah, a gravelly voice answered. It's Cole. Silence on the other end, then a low whistle. Well, we were wondering when the Navy was going to screw with you again. They already did, Hunter said. They pulled me into a room, and they tried to pull Eli from school. They didn't get him. No, Hunter said. I saw your text, thanks. Kids with Diesel now, Reaper said. Safe house 30 minutes out. He knows not to post, not to call, not to tag. We taught him right. Hunter exhaled, one weight off his chest. Good. You want to tell me why there's an admiral asking around about a dead officer? Because he saw me, Hunter said, and because the story he sold 15 years ago doesn't work if I'm still breathing. Reaper grunted. Then he's going to try to make you stop breathing. I know. You want us to come to you? Not yet, Hunter said. Visibility's high. Base is hot. I need intel from inside. Intel? Reaper said, amused. Man, you've been pushing a mop. Now you want intel again? Always wanted it, Hunter said. Just had to look like I didn't. Reaper's tone changed, more serious. All right, then you listen. We run quiet. We stay off the main gate. But if they move your kid again, we ride in daylight and we don't ask permission. I appreciate it. You don't appreciate it, Reaper said. You earned it. Then, softer, you saved my brother in Ondo 9. I don't forget. The line clicked off. Hunter pocketed the phone and opened the door. Lieutenant Maya Reynolds was waiting right outside. She didn't look surprised to see him on a call. You have interesting friends, Mr. Cole. You listening at doors now, Lieutenant? I'm watching a man who caused a level 2 security note just by telling the truth about his rank. Hunter shrugged. That's on them. She lowered her voice. I need to talk to you. Not in here. He weighed it. She'd had chances to burn him and hadn't. She was digging because she hated lies, not because she wanted a promotion. Walk, he said. They stepped out the back of the bay into the narrow lane between hangars where the noise dropped and only the gulls could be heard. The wind off the water was sharp. I pulled the mission stub for Iron Ridge in, she said without preamble. Your name is on the classified header, not his. I know. It says Commanding Officer Deceased. I know. She studied his face. You don't look very deceased. I got better. She almost smiled, then shook her head. Why didn't you challenge it back then? My wife did, Hunter said. She sent the report up. 3 days later, she was dead. I got a picture of my son in the mail. Message was clear. Maya swallowed. So you disappeared. I went small, Hunter said. But I didn't go away. She glanced around to make sure no one was close enough to hear. Admiral Beckett filed a request to detain you and to bring your son onto base for protection. Captain Harris stalled him. But the Admiral isn't dropping it. He won't, Hunter said. If my name comes back up in D.C., he's done. He keeps saying people above me, Maya said. How far above are we talking? Far enough that your clearance won't reach it, Hunter said. Far enough that they sealed my file instead of letting him finish me. That's why he's mad. I wasn't his to kill. She let that settle. Then quietly, I don't want a kid dragged into this. Neither do I, Hunter said. That's why he's not at school anymore. Her eyes sharpened. You moved him? He's with people I trust. Off base? Way off. Good, she said, letting out a breath. Because the Admiral's aide called local PD 15 minutes ago asking for assistance in locating a minor. He's pushing. Hunter's jaw worked. He's desperate. Which means he's going to make a mistake, Maya said. And when he does, I want to be standing there holding the real files. You found them? Hunter asked. I found enough to prove the official version was edited, she said. But the original sitrep, the one signed within 48 hours, gone. It's not gone, Hunter said. It's just not here. She looked at him. You kept it. Of course I kept it, he said. You don't let the man who stole your op own all the paper. Her eyes flashed. Then give it to Captain Harris. Let him shut Beckett down. Not yet. Why not? Because right now it's the only thing keeping Beckett from throwing me in a van and calling it national security, Hunter said. As long as he thinks it's out here, not in a drawer, he has to move careful. She hated that. She was Navy. She liked chain of command, evidence, reports. But she could tell he was right. Then let me help. You already are. She tilted her head. You sure you can trust a Navy lieutenant? I'm trusting the woman who didn't hand me over when she saw my file was sealed. That landed. Okay, she said. Then you should know this. Whatever you did over there, they taught it here. Your tactics. They teach his name on it, but your plan. I know, Hunter said. I saw the display case, my spacing. Then you also know, she said. If DC finds out that the man whose tactics they teach has been working as a janitor on a base without proper clearance, someone's going to ask why. Good, Hunter said. I want them to ask. She stared at him. You're picking this fight. I didn't start it, Hunter said, but I'm not backing away from it again. Before she could answer, his phone buzzed. This time it was Reaper again. Hunter stepped away and answered. Yeah. They just moved 2 black sedans from the base motor pool out the west gate, Reaper said. Engines revved in the background. He was riding. Plates match the ones that were watching your street last night. They're heading toward the interstate. You tailing? We got eyes, Reaper said. But listen, your kid is fine. They don't know where we put him. So if those cars aren't for him, they're for me, Hunter finished. Or for that lieutenant that's helping you, Reaper said. Point is, they're moving fast. Stay on them, Hunter said. At a distance, don't let them see you. Brother, Reaper said. We've been tailing feds since before you learned to grease a chain. The line clicked off. Hunter turned back to Maya. You need to stay in groups, no walking to your car alone. I'm not the one they want, she said. You pulled the file, Hunter said. You know their lie. That's enough. She nodded once. What are you going to do? I'm going to stop waiting for them, Hunter said. I'm going to make this public enough on base that he can't disappear me. How? By showing up where he can't throw me out, Hunter said. The afternoon briefing, he called it, he has to tolerate me, and I'll make sure half the base sees I'm standing. Maya hesitated. He's not going to like that. He doesn't have to, Hunter said. He just has to freeze. At 1500, the main conference room filled. Department heads, security, logistics, Admiral Beckett at the front with slides about readiness deficiencies. Hunter walked in through the side door in his black maintenance shirt. The room went weirdly quiet, like a church when someone unexpected walks in. Beckett saw him. For a heartbeat, the Admiral's mouth tightened. Then the smile came back. Mr. Cole, he said loudly. Maintenance has joined us. Good. You can hear where you failed. A few people chuckled nervously. Hunter took a seat against the wall, arms folded. He didn't say a word. Beckett clicked through slides. Training, response time, vehicle inventory. He was chewing people up, knocking them down one by one. It was a show of power. I can make or end careers. Then he shifted. And finally, Beckett said, personnel integrity. This base has allowed access to individuals whose backgrounds are incomplete. That will stop today. Eyes flicked toward Hunter. Beckett kept going. From now on, all civilian staff with prior service will have their records re-verified at the federal level. Anyone found to have falsified. The door opened. Captain Harris walked in, not apologizing for being late. Behind him, 2 men in plain suits, the kind from DC Maya had seen earlier. One of them was carrying a secure case. Beckett paused. Captain? Admiral, Harris said, coming forward. We've received a call from Washington. You can proceed, but you should be aware the subject of your last point is under federal protection. The room buzzed. Beckett's eyes narrowed. Federal protection? For him? Harris didn't look at Hunter. That's correct. On whose authority? Beckett demanded. The man with the case spoke for the first time. Office of the Secretary of Defense. That hit the room like a hammer. Now everyone was staring at Hunter. Why would a maintenance guy be under SecDef authority? Beckett tried to recover. This man entered my base under false. He entered 8 years ago, Harris said. If it was false, it would have been caught. It wasn't. Which means somebody higher than you wanted him here. Beckett's face flushed. He was losing control in front of an audience. Exactly what he didn't want. He turned toward Hunter. You think this saves you? Hunter met his eyes. I think it slows you down. Beckett leaned on the table. You can hide behind DC for a day, maybe 2. But you and I both know why you were declared dead. It wasn't a punishment. It was a favor. It kept people from asking what really happened on Iron Ridge. Hunter's voice stayed even. Then maybe it's time they asked. Maya watched the exchange, heart pounding. The whole base was seeing it now. The Admiral was rattled, and the man they'd ignored in the bay was at the center of something bigger. Her tablet buzzed. A message from Gate Security. Unmarked vehicle just tried to get on base with forged contractor badge. Asked for Lieutenant Reynolds and the maintenance general. We denied. She looked up fast. If they couldn't get on base, they'd try off base, which meant the safe house with Eli might be the next target. She stood abruptly. Harris looked at her. Lieutenant? Sir, I need to step out. Beckett smirked. Running, Lieutenant? Stopping something you started, sir, she said, and left. On the highway west of Norfolk, 3 black bikes ran in staggered formation, keeping pace with a dark sedan 200 yards ahead. Reaper rode point, Diesel on his right, Ghost on his left. Diesel spoke through the mic. They tried the gate. Yeah, Reaper said. That means they're gonna try the house next. Ghost cursed. Kid there? Yeah, Reaper said. But he's not alone. Who? Reaper smiled behind his helmet. A man his father saved in Afghanistan. Guy's been waiting 15 years to pay it back. They opened the throttles. Engines roared. The hunt had started. And back on base, Hunter Cole knew exactly what that meant. The moment the bikers met the people trying to shut him up, the quiet part would get loud. Which was exactly what he needed. The only problem was the Admiral wasn't done playing. And there was still one card he hadn't shown yet. The convoy of black sedans moved like shadows along the coastal road, headlights off, engines low. Inside the lead car, 2 men in suits watched a tablet showing a live map. 1 dot blinked steady. Eli Cole's phone signal. Kid's not at school anymore, the driver said. Signal says he's near the docks. Then he's with them, the passenger replied. The bikers. He closed the tablet and pulled his weapon closer. Orders are simple. Bring the boy in. The father will follow. They didn't notice the faint growl that rose behind them, the unmistakable rumble of V-twin engines. Within seconds, 3 Harleys appeared in the mirrors, headlights blazing like torches. Reaper, Diesel, and Ghost had found them. "Targets confirmed," Reaper said into his mic. "Let's make it loud." The bikers fanned out. Diesel cut left, Ghost right, engines screaming through the night. The sedan tried to swerve, but Reaper's Harley hit the rear bumper hard, sending sparks across the asphalt. The car fishtailed, lost traction, and skidded sideways onto the shoulder. The doors flew open and 2 agents stumbled out, guns drawn. Reaper stood, visor up, eyes like steel. "You boys lost?" Before they could answer, Diesel's bike slid to a stop inches from one man's knees. The rider's voice was calm. "You're done. Hand over the kid's tracker." The agents hesitated, and a 4th biker rolled up behind them. A tall man in a black hoodie stepped out, aiming a shotgun low. "Don't make me repeat myself," the newcomer said. The agents dropped their weapons. Diesel grabbed the tablet, smashed it against the asphalt, and picked up the pieces. Reaper's phone buzzed. He answered without taking his eyes off them. "We got them." Hunter's voice came through the line. "And my son?" "Safe," Reaper said. They were tracking him, but not anymore. "Keep him that way," Hunter said. "Things are about to go public." Back at the naval base, the main operations center was chaos. The news had spread. 2 men from Beckett's security detail had been found tied near the docks with a note taped to their car. "Stop chasing ghosts. The truth rides free." Admiral Beckett stormed into the command wing, face flushed, yelling orders. "Lock down every exit. Find that man and anyone connected to him." Captain Harris followed him, calmer but firm. "Admiral, Washington's watching this now." The secretary himself called. "We can't make any more unilateral moves." "Washington doesn't understand what that man is," Beckett growled. "I think they understand perfectly," Harris said. "That's why they sealed his record." Beckett turned on him. "Do you know what Iron Ridge really was, Captain? It was a cover operation, not for him, for me. They'll throw me to the wolves to protect their story." "Then maybe you deserve it," Harris said. Beckett's eyes went black with fury. "Get out of my way." He stormed past, ignoring the cameras, heading straight for the lower decks where the evidence vault was stored. In a secured data room near the basement, Lieutenant Maya Reynolds sat in front of a monitor copying files from an encrypted drive. The screen showed old after-action reports, casualty photos, and a log with Hunter's signature on it, time-stamped 48 hours after the battle. It was proof. Proof he had survived Iron Ridge, proof he was the commanding officer, proof Beckett had forged his promotion. A voice behind her said, "You shouldn't be here, Lieutenant." She froze. Beckett stepped into the room, gun drawn, eyes wild. "Turn it off." She didn't. "It's over, sir. I sent the files to DC." "No, you didn't," he said. "You sent fragments. I watched the upload. You don't even know what's in them. You think you're saving a hero. But you're just feeding another machine that will bury the truth again." Maya slowly turned, hands raised. "Put the gun down, Admiral." He shook his head. "You think he's clean? That man cost me everything. He disobeyed orders. He went off mission. Men died because of him. He got his wife killed. A voice came from the doorway. "Save 37 soldiers you left behind." Beckett spun around. Hunter stood there, calm. No weapon, no uniform. Just his black work shirt and the look of a man done hiding. "Don't do this," Maya said quietly. Beckett pointed the gun at Hunter. "You have no idea what they'll do when this leaks." "I think I do," Hunter said. "They'll see who's been lying." Beckett's hands trembled. "You think they'll call you a hero? You think you'll get your stars back? They'll tear you apart. You disobeyed orders. You made me cover it. You—" Hunter stepped closer. "I didn't make you cover anything. You volunteered because it got you promoted. You built your career on the blood of men you left to die." Beckett's finger tightened on the trigger. But before he could shoot, the door behind him burst open. 2 bikers, Diesel and Ghost, stormed in, armed but restrained, The kind of men who didn't miss. Beckett froze. How the hell did... Gate guards, Diesel said, smirking. Nice fellas. Love Harleys. Maya moved fast, kicking the gun out of Beckett's hand. It skidded across the floor. Diesel grabbed the Admiral, twisted his arm, and slammed him against the console. Hunter didn't move. He just looked at the man who'd stolen 15 years of his life. You should have stayed out of my bay, Hunter said. Beckett glared at him, eyes full of hate. You can't prove anything. Maya picked up the gun and pointed it at him. We already did. Half an hour later, the facility swarmed with investigators. Federal vehicles lined the base road. Agents from the Office of Naval Intelligence and the DoD's Inspector General moved through the halls collecting drives, reports, and witnesses. Beckett was handcuffed and escorted out of the room, head down, shouting about conspiracies and cover-ups. Captain Harris stood nearby, watching. You had enough evidence to sink him years ago? He asked Hunter. I didn't need revenge, Hunter said. I needed safety. For my son. You got both now. Not yet, Hunter said. There are others above him. The ones who signed the seals. Beckett was just a mask. Harris nodded slowly. Then what are you going to do? Hunter looked toward the hangar doors, where the sunset spilled gold across the motorcycles parked outside. I'm going home. By evening, the base was quiet again. The cameras were gone, the tension lifting like fog. Maya walked beside Hunter down the service road toward the exit. You'll have to testify, she said. I know. They'll unseal your record. I want them to. You'll be famous, she said softly. The general who mopped floors. Hunter gave a tired half smile. Let them call me whatever they want. I just want my son back. You'll see him soon, she said. Harris cleared it. He stopped, looking at her. You did more than your duty, Lieutenant. Guess I'm a bad soldier then, she said. No, Hunter said. You're exactly what a good one looks like. She nodded once and walked away, leaving him in the glow of the parking lights. 50 miles away, Reaper's group waited near the shoreline cabin. The night was still, the surf whispering against the rocks. Eli sat on the porch steps, helmet beside him. He looked up when headlights appeared, a black sedan escorted by 3 motorcycles. His father got out. For a second, neither spoke. Then Eli ran forward and hugged him hard. Hunter held him tight, eyes closing. You okay? Yeah. Those biker guys are crazy. They're family, Hunter said. You thank them? Eli looked at Reaper and grinned. Thanks, sir. Reaper laughed. Sir? Damn, kid, your dad raised you right. Hunter looked around at the bikes lined up by the shore. You boys rode straight through a naval lockdown. Didn't even get a ticket, Reaper said. Guess America still loves its veterans. Hunter chuckled once, the first real laugh in years. Inside the cabin, he sat with Eli by the fire. The boy finally asked the question that had been waiting for years. Dad, were you really a general? Hunter nodded slowly. Yeah. And Mom, what happened? He hesitated. She found out the truth. Some people didn't want it to come out. Eli looked at the firelight. So you disappeared? I had to, Hunter said. For you. Eli's voice was small. Were you scared? Every day, Hunter said honestly. But I learned something. Fear doesn't mean you're weak. It means you still have something to lose. They sat in silence for a while, the fire crackling. Outside, the bikers started their engines, ready to head back toward the road. Reaper poked his head in. You need anything, General? Hunter smiled faintly. No rank here, just Hunter. Reaper nodded. Fine then, Hunter. We'll ride ahead. You call if the Navy gets stupid again? I will. Reaper grinned. Keep the kid close. He's got the same fire you did. Then he was gone. The roar of engines fading into the night. When the cabin fell quiet again, Hunter stepped outside, watching the taillights disappear down the highway. For the first time in 15 years, he wasn't hiding. He looked up at the stars. the same ones that had guided him through deserts and missions and years of silence. Inside, Eli called, "Dad, what happens now?" Hunter took a deep breath. "Now," he said. "Now we stop running." He closed the door, the faint echo of motorcycles still rumbling in the distance. Not just noise, but a promise. The Brotherhood rides again. And for the first time, Hunter Cole let himself believe it was over. Almost. Because somewhere in Washington, a new file had just opened, and the header read, "Iron Ridge, unclassified review pending." The fight for truth wasn't finished. It had just shifted gears. The morning after the storm, the world felt unnaturally quiet. The sun rose pale over Virginia Beach, spilling light through the cracked blinds of the cabin where Hunter and Eli had spent the night. For the first time in 15 years, Hunter Cole woke up without a lie to maintain. No uniform, no fake identity, no shadow hanging over the breakfast table. Just his son, the sound of waves, and a half-cold pot of coffee that somehow tasted like freedom. Eli stirred under the blanket on the couch. "You're already up?" Hunter smiled faintly. "Old habits." The boy sat up, rubbing his eyes. "You didn't sleep?" "A little," Hunter said, pouring another cup. "My head's too used to listening for engines at night." "You don't have to anymore," Eli said, trying to sound older than 15. Hunter looked at him. Same eyes as Catherine, same stubborn jaw. "Maybe not. But people like Beckett don't work alone. You remember that?" Eli frowned. "You think someone else will come?" Hunter didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to the porch, pushed open the door, and watched the sea. 3 sets of tire tracks led down the dirt path. The road guardians had rolled out at dawn. "Men like Beckett always report to someone," Hunter said finally, "and that someone hasn't called me yet." A few hours later, Maya Reynolds found him there. She arrived in an unmarked government sedan, hair down, jacket over a plain gray shirt. No insignia, no stripes. She looked like she hadn't slept either. "Captain Harris said you'd be here," she said, stepping onto the porch. "You brought coffee?" Hunter asked. "3 sugars," she said, handing him a cup. "Figured a general should have options." He took it with a quiet smile. "I'm not a general anymore." She sat beside him. "You might be again. Washington's reopening the Iron Ridge file. They called me last night. They want testimony." Hunter's expression didn't change. "Beckett's in custody?" "For now. He's claiming you forged documents, that you were unstable after the war. He's trying to rewrite the lie before the truth hits the news." "He's good at that," Hunter said. Maya leaned forward. "They'll want you to testify publicly. TV cameras, headlines, all of it. You could clear your name." "I'm not sure I want to," he said quietly. "Names get cleared for medals, not for peace. You deserve both." He gave her a long look. "You really believe that?" "I've seen what kind of men get to wear those stars," she said. "You're one of the few who actually earned them." For a moment, silence stretched between them. The sound of the waves filled it. Then Hunter asked, "How bad is the fallout?" "Half the command chain resigned overnight," she said. "Washington's trying to clean up before the media gets the full story. But the files you and I pulled, they're impossible to hide now." Hunter nodded slowly. "Good." Maya hesitated, then added, "They'll also want to talk to your son, about how you disappeared, about Catherine." Hunter's grip on his coffee tightened. "He's a kid. He doesn't talk to them. They can subpoena him. Then they'll have to find him," Hunter said. Maya sighed. "You really think you can keep him off their radar forever?" "No," he said. "But I can teach him how to live when people start watching again." That evening, Hunter and Eli rode together for the first time in months. The Harley's second seat had been cleaned. New bolts, new grips. The road stretched open ahead. No pursuit, no chase. Just the steady rhythm of the highway beneath them. They didn't talk much. They didn't have to. At a gas stop near Suffolk, a pair of kids recognized Hunter from the photo that had leaked online. The headline on the newsstand read, "Dead General Found Alive, Exposes Massive Cover-Up." Eli pointed at it, eyes wide. "Dad, that's you." Hunter looked at the paper and then at his son. "No, that's a ghost someone else wrote about." Eli smiled. "You don't like being famous?" "Fame's loud," Hunter said. "Freedom's quiet." They refueled, grabbed 2 sodas, and kept going west until the sky turned orange. Meanwhile, back at the base, Captain Harris was on a secure call with Washington. "Yes, sir. He's alive and stable. No, he hasn't left the state. Yes, the bikers are legitimate. Charity group, veteran network. No, they're not a threat." He listened for a long moment, then said, "Understood, sir. I'll tell him." He hung up and looked at the photo on his desk. Iron Ridge survivors lined up in the desert, dust-covered but alive. Beckett front and center. Hunter off to the side, half smiling, one hand on the shoulder of a wounded private. Harris whispered, "About time somebody set the record straight." 2 days later, Hunter and Eli reached the Road Guardian's compound outside Raleigh. It wasn't what most people imagined. No neon, no chaos. Just a line of well-kept bikes, a few men working on engines, and an American flag faded from sun. Reaper came out wiping his hands on a rag. "Heard you were alive again, General." Hunter smirked. "Starting to regret saving you." "Never," Reaper said, clapping his shoulder. "You know, word's spreading. Folks out west are talking about a biker general who took down a Navy admiral." "Exaggeration sells," Hunter said. Reaper grinned. "Doesn't mean it's not good PR. We're opening a new chapter, helping vets find work, get clean, ride again. Could use a face like yours." "I'm done leading men into fights," Hunter said. "This isn't a fight," Reaper said. "It's rebuilding." Eli looked around, eyes shining. "Can I work on bikes with them?" Hunter hesitated, then smiled. "Only if you listen. Every bolt, every rule." "I will." Reaper laughed. "Kid's already got grease on his hands. He'll fit right in." That night they all sat around a fire pit. Bikers, veterans, families. The air smelled of oil and wood smoke. Diesel played a guitar with strings older than Eli. Hunter sat quietly, watching his son laugh for the first time in weeks. Maya's voice came through his phone. "You left without saying goodbye." "I don't do goodbyes." "Then do one favor," she said. "They're calling for a public hearing next week. You don't have to go, but if you don't, Beckett's people will fill the silence." Hunter looked at the flames. "I'll think about it." "Think fast," she said. "They'll spin your story before the ink dries." He ended the call and stared at the stars. Reaper glanced over. "That the lieutenant?" "Yeah." "She sounds like trouble," Reaper said. "She saved me," Hunter said. "Then she's family too," Reaper replied. Hunter smiled faintly. "Maybe." The hearing came a week later in D.C. Hunter walked in wearing a plain suit, no medals, no ribbons. Cameras flashed. Senators whispered. Maya sat a few rows behind him. When asked to state his name and rank, he said simply, "Hunter James Cole, Major General, U.S. Army, retired." The chairman asked the question the nation wanted to know. "Why did you disappear?" Hunter took a breath. "Because the truth didn't fit the story they wanted. But you can't bury truth. You can only delay it." "And why come forward now?" He looked straight at the cameras. "Because my son deserves to grow up in a country that honors the right people." There was no applause, just silence, the kind that meant people were thinking. Weeks passed. Beckett's face disappeared from the news. The Road Guardians started a new Veterans Foundation, the Iron Ridge Project. Maya transferred to D.C., promoted to commander. Captain Harris retired quietly. And Hunter? He bought a small garage near the Blue Ridge Parkway, part repair shop, part biker stop. On weekends, he and Eli fixed bikes for free, painted helmets for vets, and cooked ribs for anyone who showed up hungry. The sign outside read, "Cole's Garage, where the road leads home." Sometimes tourists recognized him. They'd ask, "Aren't you the general from the news?" He'd wipe his hands on a rag and smile. Nah, just a mechanic. One night, Maya stopped by unannounced, helmet under her arm. Nice place, she said, looking around. Beats a hangar, he said. She smiled. You ever think about coming back? I already did, Hunter said, just not the way they expected. She looked at him for a long moment. You know, you could have been a great admiral. He laughed quietly. Nah, too much paperwork. Then she walked over and handed him an envelope. Sealed. Government issue. What's this? Official reinstatement offer, she said. Honorary rank. No obligations. He tore it open, scanned the letter, and chuckled. Major General Emeritus. Guess they couldn't decide if I was alive or not. Maya tilted her head. You going to sign it? He looked toward Eli, working on a carburetor with Reaper. The boy was laughing. Free. No, Hunter said softly. They already took enough years. The rest belonged to him. Maya nodded, understanding. She slipped her helmet back on. Then keep the road open, General. He grinned. Always. As she rode off into the twilight, Hunter watched the highway lights fade. The world felt right again. Imperfect, scarred, but honest. Eli came over, grease on his hands. Dad, can we ride tomorrow? Hunter handed him a wrench. Yeah, kid. But tonight, finish that job. We got customers coming. Eli smirked. You mean your biker buddies? They pay in beer and bad jokes, Hunter said. Still counts. The boy laughed, the sound carrying into the night. Hunter leaned against the workbench, the roar of passing bikes echoing through the hills. His brothers, still riding, still watching. And for the first time in a long, long time, Major General Hunter James Cole felt something he hadn't since the war. Peace. Not because justice was loud, but because finally the truth could ride free.